Good morning, Year 10. I hope you are well. Welcome to your final video lesson for this week. Today we are going to finish up our question 5 feedback in preparation for a full question 5 response that you are going to complete for me tomorrow. As such, can you please make sure that you have your original language paper 1 response as well as the marked copy that I've sent you. If you don't have those, there's a copy on Show My Homework for you to use. Pause the video and make sure you have those two things in front of you as always. Okay, if you're back, that means you've got those in front of you and you are ready to write down our title, date, and learning objective. Pause the video and press play when you have those copied down, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you're ready to complete the do now. I would like you to complete the tasks based on this image on the screen now. Could you please write a distance sentence, a sentence with adjectives at the start, a comparative sentence, a sentence with a subordinate clause in the middle, and a not only but also sentence. These were the focus of today's lesson, so make sure that you look back if you're not sure. Pause the video and spend slightly longer on this do now than you normally would, please. Okay, if you're back, your do now is complete and we are ready to go into our lesson, focusing on our spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Again, a reminder of the question 5 response that you produced, and a reminder of the mark scheme. So, for question 5, you can get 16 marks for spelling, punctuation, and grammar. That's just under half marks for spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So it's incredibly important that we get it right. So sentence demarcation is consistently secure and consistently accurate. Wide range of punctuation is used for a high level of accuracy. Okay, those two there are kind of going to be the focus of today's lesson, and that's what we need to consistently work on. Nevertheless, our use of punctuation can change the sentence forms. It can also change the way that structure looks in our essay. So it's important that we get it right. So the first focus of today's lesson with SPAG is ensuring that our sentences include verbs. A sentence isn't a sentence without a verb. It becomes a phrase and an incomplete sentence. So I would like you now to copy and correct the sentences so that they include verbs. We're going to do the first one together. So let me grab my purple pen. Actually, I'll just do it in red. So number 1 is train on its side, people screaming, debris spluttered everywhere. These sentences need verbs to make them full sentences. So I would add train was on its side, people were screaming, debris was spluttered everywhere. So I've done the first one for you. You need to copy that one down with the corrections and then copy and correct 2 to 10. Pause the video and complete that task now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you've copied and corrected the sentences so that they include verbs. Let's make our purple pen corrections. So grab your purple pen, pause the video if you need a second to get it. Okay, so I'm going to correct them on the screen, and all you need to do is give it a tick if you got it right, and if you got it wrong, make the correction along with me. So we know that it's train was on its side, people were screaming, debris was splattered everywhere. So that gets a tick. To Harry studying digital design, you would probably need to add here Harry was studying or is studying. Give that a tick. Number 3, Jane, Kim, and several other girls from high school. Now, this one's a confusing one because it doesn't at first glance it seems okay, but we don't know anything about what these girls are doing. So Jane, Kim, and several other girls, you would need to add maybe met / talked. Jane, Kim, and several other girls / were, or anything similar to that. You can use your inference to decide whether you deserve a tick there. Number 4, John working extra hard on his novel lately. You would need John was or is. Give that a tick. Number 5, ever since the code froze, emails begun to come in. So you would either make it have begun to come in, or you would say emails began to came in. Give that a tick. Number 6, it was incredibly worrying watching my mother all night sewing. So here we would need up all night sewing. Whoops. I don't know what's happened there. Give that a tick. Number 7, the place was ominous, scared dogs in their kennels. Scared dogs were in their kennels. It would not be are because of the word was. The place was ominous, scared dogs were in their kennels. Or it would be the place is ominous, scared dogs are in their kennels. So be careful of your tense of verbs there. Jenny swimming in the lake, again it would be was or is. Miss Mando's sensible and humorous advice. So some of you probably looked at this one and thought, Madam, that makes sense, because you are imagining that there is an apostrophe there saying that you're talking about Miss Mando's is sensible and humorous advice. But there is no apostrophe there, so we do need to add a verb. So Miss Mando's gave / gives. Give that a tick. And then the students studying in Brian's class, the students were studying or are studying. Give that a tick. Pause the video if you need a second to make any purple pen corrections now. Okay, if you're back, that means you've made your purple pen corrections. So let's have a look at this in terms of a question 5 response. That night, fear and anxiety clashed into the delicate gates to hell. Dark translucent fogs blocking the path to the beautiful side of the forest. Maple leaves lay down on the chocolate brown mud, leaving the colossal ancient trees leafless. Simultaneously, powerful winds budging the heavy stone grey headstones around like a bunch of flimsy branches breaking off a tree. The pales on the roof thrusting through the air, leaving the cottagers in misery. Large-sized branches flying in the air, ready to strike. The glossy windows being smashed in fury by the powerful winds, exposing the poor habitants to nothing but chaos. Looking through the shattered window, an elderly couple could be seen, petrifyingly rushing away from any hazards. This is a nice paragraph. There's a couple of punctuation errors there that obviously the student's going to correct for me later. But in terms of verbs, this student misses a lot of them. So let's take each sentence in turn. That night, fear and anxiety clashed into delicate gates to hell. It's fine. Dark, translucent fogs were blocking the path to the beautiful side of the forest. Maple leaves were laid down on the chocolate brown mud, leaving the colossal ancient trees leafless. Simultaneously, powerful winds were budging the heavy stone grey headstones around like a bunch of flimsy branches breaking off a tree. The pales on the roof were thrusting through the air, leaving the cottagers in misery. Large-sized branches were flying in the air, ready to strike. The glossy windows were being smashed in fury by the powerful winds, exposing the poor habitants to nothing but chaos. As you can see there, the student unknowingly missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verbs. So that drastically reduced the spag mark that they achieved. Okay, so moving on to our next EBI is ensuring that we use commas accurately. We are going to practice commas until the day that you leave school in year 11, because we still can't do it properly and we must be able to in order to organise our ideas. Okay, so have a think, pause the video for 30 seconds. What is the problem with this sentence, please? Okay, you should have remembered that this is what we call a comma splice. A comma splice is where a comma is used to join two independent clauses, meaning that the two clauses make sense on their own. Using a comma to join them is incorrect. So, to fix that, you can either connect the clause with a conjunction, a semicolon, or separate them with a full stop. You know this, we practice this all the time. So you would either do that and make it a semicolon, which is grammatically correct. You would either add a full stop there instead, which is again grammatically correct, or you would add a conjunction, so, or, and, for example. Okay, this is one of the ways that commas were used inaccurately in our assessments, but there are other ways that commas are used inaccurately too, but we have looked at those in the past and we often practice them during our do now activities. So what I would like you to do now is the same with the verbs. I would like you to copy and correct the sentences so they use commas effectively. Pay particular attention to comma splicing, please. Pause the video and copy and correct the sentences so they use commas effectively now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you've got the sentence down and you should have commas in the right place. Now we are going to make our purple pen corrections. Could you please pause the video if you need to grab your purple pen? All right, let's go. Whoops, let's add the commas in the right places. So when I go shopping on Friday, I need to buy milk. A comma is here to separate the subordinate and main clause of that complex sentence. I went to the mall, Jane was there. That is a comma splice. So you can either correct it with a full stop, a colon, or a conjunction. I would use and there. He told us, even though you paid for a ticket, you can't come in after 10 o'clock. Even though you paid for a ticket, comma, that's a complex sentence, you can't come in after 10 o'clock. I went to the movies with my neighbours, Ron and Sally, and then we went to dinner. Ron and Sally is the subordinate clause in the middle of the sentence, so they need commas there to offset that. If we were to remove Ron and Sally, I went to the movies with my neighbours and then we went to dinner, the sentence would still make sense on its own. The Todderidge Academy, which I attend, is located in Barnet, North London. We need a comma here, separating city, town, or city and county or whatever. And then which I attend is again a subordinate clause in the middle of the sentence. If we remove that, the Todderidge Academy is located in Barnet, North London, still makes sense. While running, I saw a mallard, a kind of duck. We need one here as a fronted adverbial. While running, I saw a mallard, comma, a kind of duck. On Saturday, comma, a fronted adverbial there. I went to the spa with my cousin, Abby, and my auntie, Joanne. I would put a comma here and here, and here. If I was to remove Abby and Joanne, on Saturday I went to the spa with my cousin and my auntie. It would still make perfect sense. I need 4 paint colours, blue, grey, green, and red to decorate my room. So we have commas here in a list. And then we also, that list is an embedded clause, a subordinate clause that's embedded into the middle of the sentence. If we were to remove that list, I need 4 paint colours to decorate my room. The sentence would still make sense. Koala bears are not actually bears, they are marsupials. That is a comma splice. So we correct it in one of the 3 ways. Miss Faulkner, the tallest teacher, was in a bad mood. The tallest teacher, although very accurate, is sorry, I can't get down there to put a comma in because of the PowerPoint. But the tallest teacher is a subordinate clause which can be removed and the sentence would still make sense. Pause the video and make sure you've got those corrections down now, please. Okay, so how does this look in a paragraph? Let's have a look at this student's response here. She hugged herself tighter, her head spinning around with a stiffness as she made eye contact with what frightened her most. A single gravestone. Was she in a graveyard? No, that wouldn't make sense. Why would there be only one gravestone in a big graveyard? She shifted closer, taking in the sight of it. It had been there for a long time by the looks of it. There was a crack down the middle, moss making home in the open space. It was a dirty grave from all the seasons it had seen, and it had seen many. So there's a couple of other punctuation errors here, but we are focusing on commas. So this is a comma splice. So I would change that to a semicolon. She had herself tighter, her head spinning around with a stiffness as she made eye contact with what frightened her most. A single graveyard, a gravestone, a single gravestone. Was she in a graveyard? Can't use a comma there. I would put a full stop. Was she in a graveyard? No, comma. That wouldn't make sense. Why would there be only one gravestone in a big graveyard? Again, you would need punctuation here, but we're not adding other punctuation. We're just adding commas right now. She shifted closer, taking in the sight of it. A comma there to separate the parts of that sentence. It had been there for a long time by the looks of it. That is a comma splice. I might add a conjunction there. And there was a crack down the middle, comma, moss making home in the open space. It was a dirty grey from all the seasons it had seen, and it had seen many, and we don't need that comma there. So as you can see, the 3 comma splices that I've corrected, here, here, and here, I have used a semicolon, a full stop, and a conjunction. The reason being is that a semicolon is a new piece of punctuation, so that works towards improving your SPAG mark. A full stop would change that sentence to a simple sentence, creating a variety of sentence structures. And using a conjunction here makes that sentence a compound sentence, again, adding to the variety of sentence structures. So you have seen me make my corrections, and now it is your turn. You're going to go through your question 5 response and correct any SPAG errors. So if you have an arrow, there are missing words, especially verbs. If you haven't got any arrows, I would just double check to make sure that you have verbs in your sentences, because after marking all of your responses, I was quite tired, so I might have missed something. A circle around something is wrong punctuation being used, or you are missing punctuation there. And a wiggly kind of line is an other grammar error, and that's normally linked to a comment on the side. Also, you would have seen that there would have been some red underlines, and we all know that that links to a spelling error. And with that spelling error, you need to copy the correct spelling in purple pen times 3. So this is your time to correct your SPAG. Make sure your sentences have verbs. Make sure your punctuation is correct, particularly your commas. Make sure any other grammar errors have been addressed, and make sure any spelling mistakes have been copied the correct spelling has been copied 3 times in purple pen. Please pause the video and complete this now. Okay, if you're back, I would like you to triple check that every single red line or thing that links to grammar, punctuation, and spelling has been corrected. Pause the video and double check now. I don't want anything to be missed. Okay, if you're back, that means you are ready to submit your learning. Make sure your subject of your email looks like this. Today, I need a very clear picture of your SPAG corrections on your question 5, as well as your work underneath today's date and title. I'm going to say that again. I need a clear picture of your SPAG corrections on your question 5, as well as a picture of your work under today's date and title. Pause the video, submit that work, and then you can X off the video. Good work today, guys. Well done.